Yo, what is going on, you guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, I am doing part 4 to what if Tobey Maguire was in the MCU. In today's video, I'm going to be going over how the Infinity War / Endgame story is affected by Tobey Maguire being in the MCU. If you haven't already, make sure to check out part 1 of this series if you haven't already. That is where we integrate him into the MCU, and then this video will make much more sense if you haven't seen it already. But with that being said, if you enjoy all types of Spider-Man content from news, theories, and fan fictions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for all notifications so you can be notified as soon as the videos go up. And with that being said, let's get straight into today's video. So coming off the back end of Civil War, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man has just learned that revealing his identity would have been a mistake, but due to the new Accords, that means he can't be Spider-Man. However, Peter Parker will still do everything in his power to fight for the people and for the everyman. So when going into Infinity War and the final chapter of this story, and after coming off the back of Spider-Man 4 as well, Peter Parker was left with no personal consequence. The only person really left in his life now, apart from the other superheroes, is Aunt May. But then I realized the Infinity War story works so well for this version of Peter Parker. His arc going into this movie is that Civil War has made him realize that no matter what, he has to fight for the everyman, because that's the type of person that Spider-Man represents. Throughout phase 1 and 2, Spider-Man has been this figure of hope, like in Spider-Man 3 when the city cheered him on when he fought Venom and Sandman. It just shows how much people love him, and it's because he's relatable. He's not a billionaire, he's just a man in a costume fighting for what's right, and will help you no matter what. So that's when it comes to Infinity War just after Civil War, the stakes are really high, because everything is on a bigger scale, a scale like we have never seen before, and this will scare Peter. Now more than ever, he will want to protect the city, New York, the people, his people. It's like the city that Sam Raimi set up in his original trilogy was a character of its own, and they have a connection to Spider-Man. And now it's stronger than ever, because throughout Civil War, Spider-Man was the only one who really thought about them. This creates and strengthens that personal connection Spider-Man and the city have. And now that Infinity War is here, and now that Thanos is here, this will scare Peter. Peter is frightened. He's been able to defeat every villain that's threatened the city and protected the city he holds so close to him. But this is big. This won't just affect his city, but the entire universe, and now puts more on Peter's shoulders. He's got to save everyone, and this notion will scare him. Bruce Banner will come down to Earth, and the movie will play out the same with Thor getting his ass handed to him by Thanos. Doctor Strange meets up with Tony, and they have their conversation, and Peter is integrated into the battle the same way that Tom Holland's Spider-Man was, and he goes and helps out. There will be a little awkward interaction between Tony and Peter because of what happened at the end of Civil War, but they decide that to do what's right, they have to work together. So the movie plays out the exact same, except it's Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker that goes to space with the Avengers. Tony says that if Peter is to go to space, he's going to need some assistance, and says he was working on this during the whole Civil War debacle, but because the Accords were never signed properly, he didn't give it to him. Tony says that this was the suit he was going to wear if the government had approved him, and he went ahead as Spider-Man and worked for the government. And then Tony presses a button similar to the original scene, and Peter gets an Iron Spider suit, but this time it's the OG Iron Spider suit from the comics, the dark red and gold suit. So Tony and the team go to space, and everything plays out the exact same. They go to Titan and encounter Thanos. They fight Thanos, and they inevitably lose against him as well. And then Thanos snaps in Wakanda, and everyone is snapped away apart from Peter, Tony, and Nebula. Similar to what if my Andrew Garfield was in the MCU video, Tobey does not get snapped away. This is because, like Andrew, he is older and much more mature as Spider-Man, and is one of the key players. And in this timeline, Tobey is one of the OG, if not the OG MCU member, because he was technically the first MCU movie in this timeline, and he has been a major influence on the Avengers and the Civil War storyline, meaning that he will stay alive as one of the OG members. And plus, his character arc warrants this. This will be very similar to my Andrew video, but it still makes sense. Peter would have failed. That fear that he had, he couldn't save the city, and failed because him and the Avengers had the weight of the entire universe on their shoulders, and they lost. Moving through to Endgame, Peter will reflect on this. Captain Marvel will rescue them like in the actual movie, and they'll go back to Earth, and we will get a scene where Peter explores New York, and it's empty. There's dread. Not only that, but Aunt May has been taken by the snap too. The only one he loved to protect along with the city he adored so much has been ripped from him. Peter Parker had lost. We skip 5 years in Endgame, and everything is the same before, except Peter Parker is still Spider-Man. My Andrew Garfield video, he gave up being Spider-Man, but this time, he is still Spider-Man. Tobey in this timeline will be so desperate to get everyone back. Peter hasn't changed one bit in 5 years and is so desperate to get everyone back. He latches off the thought that he has to bring everyone back. There has to be a way. This giddy optimism leads him to insanity, and Peter is Spider-Man 24/7 because he has nothing else better to do with his life. The city's gone, Aunt May's gone, he doesn't speak to MJ anymore, he doesn't even know if she's still alive. The slightest inconvenience and Peter as Spider-Man is on the scene. At this point he's become more of a Batman type figure, if anything. So the OG Thanos from Infinity War is dead, and it's 5 years later. The Avengers found out a way to time travel, so are onto it. Black Widow goes to track down Hawkeye, and Tony will do the same, but he will go and track down Spider-Man to get as much help as they possibly can. Peter and Tony will have a moment where Peter says that they could have done more to save everyone, and Tony says there was nothing more we could have done, but we found a way. So Peter returns to the base, so just like my Andrew series, Peter will go with Tony and Cap to New York, as that is his home. Peter will have a moment in New York where he reminisces and remembers what it used to be. This will be a little breather moment for the film. They will all get the stones and return, and Black Widow will die as she does in the film, and then Hulk will snap everyone back. The other Thanos will come and they will have an epic final battle. Spider-Man and the Avengers will have their final battle, and then Tony will snap just like in the actual movie. Now some of you may be wanting Tobey to snap, and while he was the OG in this universe, Spider-Man isn't actually an Avenger. He's more of a solo character, and he wasn't really in Age of Ultron either. And yes, his arc would work here if he were to bring half the universe back, including everyone that died in New York, because he became so obsessed with wanting to protect the city. However, it still feels more right and more in Tony's character to do it. I had a long hard think about this, but if Tony does it, then there is still a satisfying way to pay off Peter's arc as well. After Tony's funeral, we'll get our moments with all the Avengers. We get the Cap moment, the Hulk moment, the Thor and the Guardians moment, and then we will get the Peter moment. He will visit Aunt May and hug her, and it'll be a little nice reunion scene. It's also revealed that Peter has now become a teacher of science at the Empire State University in his little older state. Obviously he was alive through the snap, that means he's 5 years older than everyone else, and he's obviously aged throughout the MCU as well, as he was one of the original heroes. You see, Peter's arc ends here. It was about him learning that he doesn't always have to be Spider-Man 24/7 to help people. He can help the city and the people of it in other ways. He helps the little guy as Peter Parker as a teacher, and he will help the rest as Spider-Man, and thus he's learned. He will have his triumphant final swing through the city as Spider-Man as he's back, similar to the final swings in the actual movies. And that is it. What if Tobey Maguire was in the MCU? If you did enjoy the series, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, make sure to comment down below what you thought and if you enjoyed, and more video suggestions, more fanfictions in the description below. I'll take all the suggestions because I'll be making lots of them coming in the future. And with that being said, Sinister 6 is next. That's going to be the next fanfiction. You already know. Hashtag Spider-Verse hype. Let's go in the comments right now. With that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.